I chat with my buddy Mathieu Chasse probably monthly, sometimes every couple of weeks, and he's been a huge supporter of what we do on the channel. We've really tried to support him, and last year he come out with a new bait in conjunction with Scorpion Lures called the Mad Skidder and the Mad Skipper, a hard-bodied style bucktail, and Dave got a really cool fish on it. We got a really cool story behind that one. But Mathieu said off of that video, he got a lot of interest in that bait. And one of the other ones we used from him last year was the mini Madtail, and it's a small bucktail that you can interchange the blades on the front or run it without any blades, which is what I did, almost like a castable fly, and we had some success with that. So we always like using Mathieu's stuff, and he sent me a box here. So today's video is going to be about looking in here and seeing what we got, and I know he's working on a couple new things as we speak. So, you know, in the next few weeks, I'll probably have some more stuff from Mathieu that we can hopefully show you guys. I don't think it's anything, you know, of the prototype nature or anything, but he did say he's got some really cool stuff coming for us. So we'll be looking forward to that. But this is some stuff that he said would be some old favorites and a couple new things that maybe we haven't had. So in typical Mathieu fashion, dear Dave, Glenn, and 54 or Bus family, thank you so much for our continued friendship and collaboration. Your support and feedback is always very appreciated. In this package, you'll find plenty of things to please everyone, I am sure. Next one will be all for you, Glenn. Cheers, the madman, Mathieu Chasse. So I have one of his letters up there. I appreciate that. It just shows that these guys put that, they go that extra mile to make sure that, you know, you're going to get something that you really like. And this is really cool. He's got our names on these ones. So see, where should we start? There's a couple for Dave, couple for me. So this one says Poison Rose Colorado 8's Flinger for Glenn. So let's have a look at this one. And I will try and keep them together with the packaging just so I can remember what they are when we do get around to underwater footage of them. Cool color for sure. And this Flinger is a smaller size bucktail built on heavy wire. I believe it's built on 062 wire, so it's definitely sturdy. Can take a lot of abuse. Got shrink wrap up on the top hook there so the flash doesn't catch it, and then he's got his version of the little dangle blade on it on a swivel. So really cool. I'm gonna put that one together. And here's one that says Aurora Piker Flinger. And now I believe this one is going to be a smaller version of that original Flinger. And Mathieu said the Flinger bucktail has been really popular for him. So let's have a look at this Piker one. And I know he made this for the pike tournament that just happened recently in Quebec. So let's compare the size. Yep, slightly shorter. Skirt slightly shorter. Offset blades. Again, it's built on heavy wire. 2 hooks. Got the dangle blade. Feels heavy. Feels like it's got some weight to it. And I think that was one of the things that he wanted, is that you could really cast it. And it's got a little bead in between the clevis there. I'm sure he's tested that out. All right, so I'll put that one aside. And we have the number 1 squirrely flinger, the Duke for Glenn. So let's check this one out. This is number 1, so we definitely got to keep this one separate. So this one, and I did talk to Matthew about it, again, feels heavy, like you could cast this a mile. And this is the new Squirly Flinger, and the color's called the Duke, and he has a grub tail on there that he has attached on a separate wire that you can replace that grub tail without having to take the shrink wrap off of the hook. So that's kind of his take on that, and I know he's worked on that over the course of the winter to try and perfect that. All right, so moving along, I have a Piker Flinger in Aurora pattern for Dave. So I'll check this one out. And I'm going to speak for Dave here. I know Dave likes these little bucktails, smaller size, like fluted 8s and even some of the smaller stuff. So I'm going to guess that this is going to fit right in Dave's wheelhouse. Man, that skirt looks really cool. I know my lighting's not great in here because we're set up for studio lighting, but I can just imagine in the sun that thing's going to look just amazing. So that one's for Dave, so that's really cool. And we have a Mammy Pink Flinger for Glenn. Let's check that one out. And I think this might be one of the colors that I asked. Yes, it is. So that's kind of like a pink and silver and white Cisco. And for us up on Cedar, white's always been a really good color. So I'm thinking that this silver, pink, and white is going to be something that might, fit in up there. And Wabigoon, white, pink always seems to do good on Wabigoon from, the people that have fished it that I've talked to. So we're hoping that, maybe that will kind of work there as well. So here's one, it says for David for feedback, and it's Mammy Pink Squirly Colorado Piker, and this is number 1 that he's done. So this is for something for Dave to try. See if I can get into this with my knife that you couldn't bruise yourself with. Oh yeah, this is cool. So that is look at the note here again, if I can find it. It is a Squirly Colorado Piker with that grub tail on. And I know when Dave and I tested his baits that had the dangle blade and the grub tail, one of the things that stood out for Matthew was when we had the grub tail in the water, Dave's like, "Ooh, that looks really good." And it's one of those things, we typically don't like a grub tail on the back of a bucktail, but when you see it in the water, sometimes things look better and or worse, depending on how they look. So here's a MS Devil Piker. This one's for me. And again, this is a short frame, double hook. You could almost get away with taking that front hook off on a bait this size, which may be something that I do. But this is kind of similar pattern to a bucktail I showed you guys in an earlier video from, what was it, HPM bucktails that we did in a black and red. We really like those colors, but one thing that really stands out is these baits they feel heavy, like they feel like they got some weight, so casting won't be an issue. And here's one that I actually got to name the color. It's called Toxic Waltz. And Matthew had a thing on his private page looking for suggestions for the color on this one. And it was easy to go with like all the standard kind of green colors. And Toxic's obviously one of those green colors. And because we like heavy music, and anybody that knows the band Exodus, one of their famous songs is called Toxic Waltz. So that's where the name come from. And the new stag is what he calls his stagger blades, and this looks like it's gonna be just a killer color, almost similar to that killer corn-ish pattern that Scaife has made a living with. Again, I like that short frame, and the fact that he's got a top hook on it, I think for myself, I'd probably take that top hook out, run it as a single hook bucktail, and then you eliminate that hook getting caught up in the, you know, the fish's face or on the outside of the mouth, because on a short frame bucktail like this, generally one hook is all you need. But attention to detail is amazing. I like that he shrink wraps the wire wrap at the top. Just quality components, heavy duty. Again, it feels heavy. I'd have to look at the weights in here or look at his specs online, but we like those heavier bucktails. They cast a mile. Again, this is on, I'm going to guess this is 062 wire, heavy. Matthew, you know, working with you has been a lot of fun, and that mutual respect that we have between what we do at 54 Bust and what you do at Mad Chasse is evident. And the fact that we've became friends is, you know, it's really important, because it's easy to just build a relationship based on, can you give me product and I'll give you a video. But for us, it goes deeper than that. We want to really help these companies, and a company like Matthew's, succeed. And if an underwater video or a fish catch and talking about his stuff is going to help, then we want to go the extra mile and do that. And building those relationships has been one of the most fun parts of our 54 Bust journey, and it's one that we continue to, you know, try to build on. And you can't have great relationships with everybody in the industry. I mean, it isn't going to work. That's why when it does work and you build, you know, a meaningful relationship, it does mean a lot. For that video, check it out right here where Dave and I get just a cool catch, a cool release video. Hopefully you guys will find that, you know, enjoyable. And for now, 54 Bust is out of here. I'll catch you guys out on the water later.